All right. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How you doing?
We are the last session before lunch, so we're going to be covering reimagining the customer experience with digital AI ambassadors, so digital brand ambassadors. My name's Tyler Webb. I'm the Director of AI Sales under the Advanced Growth Technologies team. Been in the industry about 15 years in technology solutions and services, and I manage a team that Dave is a part of. He'll introduce himself shortly. But we're basically your front door to your AI experience with SHI and really aligning our capabilities and the 120 plus AI machine learning experts that we have at our disposal to really understand how we can help accelerate your innovation, solve business problems, and ultimately reach the outcomes that you're looking to achieve with AI. So, Dave?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Dave Molinaro. I'm an AI solutions specialist right under Tyler, as he said. I'm basically the ground floor when it comes to speaking about really all things AI, but obviously we're here to talk about the digital AI ambassador. I've been supporting specifically my expertise is in public sector for the last 15 years. However, I support all various verticals, and we have seen a tremendous amount of interest, application when it comes to the digital AI ambassador. So very excited to kind of talk to you about this today as we move it along.
And I think it's important to key in on the word experience, right? Because the experience is the representation of your brand. It's a representation of your company, of your organization. It's how customers, constituents interact with your entity, and it leaves that lasting impression. You can have great products, you can have great quality, but it's that lasting memory that customers have that will bring them coming back. And a good example of this is a story I'll tell. My wife was out of town, got 3 young children. I do like any good dad does, and I was trying to figure out an easy way to get dinner. So I head to the Golden Arches, right? I go down the street. I live in the suburbs of Tampa, and they had just built a brand new fast food chain, retail or quick service restaurant. I go in there, and it's completely different than any other, you can probably guess the fast food place, any other location I had been to. First off, you walk in, there's no counter with anybody standing behind it to take your order. What they did have were 2 kiosks that had a POS system, and it was essentially pick whatever you want. I'm looking for my Happy Meals, I'm looking for my Quarter Pounder, put it into the cart and pay. And it was impersonal. It felt cold, it felt sterile, and it just wasn't that experience with the dozens of times that I've visited these locations across the country that I was expecting and that I wanted, to have. And frankly, I could have gone down the street, I could have got a fried chicken sandwich on a buttered bun with the pickle, and you know what kind of experience you'll have. You say thank you, they say my pleasure, right? So it's that lasting experience that when you're looking for consistency, the digital AI ambassador is a way that we can provide that to your customers, to the people that interact with your organization in a 24/7 capacity. So we'll cover a couple topics here. First off, basically, what are these digital AI ambassadors? If you spent any time in the lounge yesterday, you probably interacted with Kira on the floor, right? A good example of one. We'll talk about why now, what has brought about this change and this trend. Everyone is probably familiar with chatbots, whether those are AI powered or your just pattern recognition type chatbots, but kind of this new emergence of these these visually context aware type of interactions that are fueled by the AI ambassadors. We'll touch on a couple different barriers that organizations are seeing as they pursue these initiatives and approach ambassadors, and then the progressive layers of generative AI and really the technology and what has brought about the ability to bring these to life and ultimately to facilitate those interactions with the people that interact with your organizations. We'll cover Kira in a little more detail, talk about some of the industry use cases and the measurable value that we're seeing across different verticals with AI ambassadors, and then any time for questions and next steps. So I shared that story, but imagine just anywhere you walk into and you're typically dealing with a representative from the company. So whether that's walking into a bank, walking into a grocery store, a pharmacy, having that interaction and really having that lasting impression that leaves a positive experience with the people that are interacting with your business or organization. And so by 2027, Gartner predicts that 25% of these interactions will be facilitated by digital AI assistants as that primary customer engagement channel. And that's going to change the way that we interact, right? Whether that's through the kiosk that I described earlier and having, a human-like avatar that's having conversations with you that you're interacting with real time, or through mobile apps or on the computer, or any number of different digital channels that these ambassadors can engage with customers. So we talk about digital AI ambassadors as a whole. Basically, think lifelike. Think very human-like, very context-aware, having those natural conversations that you would expect, just like if I was talking with any one of you in the audience or having a conversation with Dave. You also have performance and latency that you need to think about, where I can't have a 1-2 second delay on, if I ask you, hey, what did you have for breakfast? And Dave just stares at me for 3 seconds and says eggs. Like you need
Sometimes I do that though. That is true. I just process it.
Before the coffee, right?
Right, correct.
But it's also something that's consistent. It's scalable. It's going to give you that same experience every time that you interact, and also a personalized feel, right? So, if you're checking into the Courtyard or the Delta, it's 11 o'clock, you've been on a late flight, the person behind the counter, if they're behind the counter, they come out, they're having a bad day. AI ambassadors don't have bad days. They don't have off days. They're not, going through trouble at home or anything. None of that, comes to the surface, so you can ensure consistency that accurately represents your organization or brand each and every time, and making it available across a variety of different digital mediums that would engage with the people that your organization works with. So why now, right? The generative AI maturity, it's been mentioned a lot in these different sessions over the last day and a half, but progressive layers, which we'll get into a little bit more detail here shortly. Obviously, the advances in multimodal LLMs and the avatars, kind of taking it way beyond your typical chatbots, as well as enterprise-grade deployments. You're looking for something that's going to represent your business. You don't want to have kind of a consumer-grade technology that has a sports code on and something that fails after a vendor demo, but it's something that's compliant, it's secure, it's scalable, and with the increase of customer expectations and just everyone wanting things immediately, 24/7, you want that fast, personalized support.
Yeah, let's take a look at this, and this is what I've really learned being with all of you right throughout, obviously, this conference here is we're all in different stages when it comes to where we are in our AI journey, AI roadmap, however you want to quantify that. But let's take a look at the question, please, by all means, if you want to go ahead and scan that QR code, is where are you right now in deploying AI from a customer-facing experience? And as I've talked to various people, various customers throughout the day today and yesterday, really the feedback is it's great to see everybody's in a different place, right? And that's where I come in, our team comes in, and we can talk through where are you right now? How can we help you get to that next stage, right? Because we're in all these different areas. So let's just take a look here, Tyler. We have AI-powered customer experience in production, chatbots, virtual assistants at the very top there, followed by we're piloting AI customer experience solutions, but not at scale. Yeah, and what I really love, again, about this is we're all in different places. And it's okay that we're not even there yet to even implement something like that. We might not have the infrastructure. We might not have the know-how, all of the above, right? So this is what's great about having these surveys. So thank you for sharing. We appreciate that as well.
And I would say it's consistent. So with my team supporting all the business units across SHI and really being the front door to really our customers' first experience with our AI practice, it's consistent with what we're seeing in conversations as we talk to anywhere from 10 to 15 unique customers every single day. A lot of them who are just getting started, like you ask about AI and they go, well, a chatbot, right? Like that's
the ground floor.
Got to the ground floor. So thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
Dave's going to go into some of the barriers here that we address as we help customers navigate this landscape.
Absolutely. Like I said, some of the questions, it doesn't depend on the vertical, but these are some things that we're hearing as we're talking with customers, as we're trying to implement a digital AI ambassador, right? At the end of the day, that is a beautiful facing chatbot, more or less. And one of the things that we encounter is complex integration. And what we mean by that is we're hearing a lot of legacy systems, or how long it will take. I have a complex infrastructure, so on and so forth. We've deployed Kira, for example, digital AI ambassador, in technically it's 5.5 weeks, but I'll do a rounding error and say it takes about 6 weeks, right? So challenging that's where we come from an integration perspective. And then something I've heard a ton of is this second point here about ROI. What's our ROI? What does that look like? What can we see from that when it comes to implementing a digital AI ambassador? A lot of times it's money, right? What does that look like at the end of the day? So I want you to think of 3 things as I hear ROI, as I'm talking with customers throughout different verticals. Number 1, how much does it cost to train an employee? To think about that number. Every organization I encounter, I'm always asking that question. How much does it cost to onboard somebody? Right? So just think about that for a second. If you have that number, that's great. If you don't, I would encourage you to take a look at that. But deploying a digital AI ambassador like Kira, from day 1, it's trained. Period. Right? It's trained on your data. So getting that ROI instantly, that's something that I would think about. The other 2 aspects that I'm always talking through is, what is the impact on your employees? If you scale out an external chatbot like Kira, how does that help your employees? Can they tackle more complex objectives than perhaps a quote-unquote chatbot can do? Can that loosen them up for some other business-related items and tasks that they just quote-unquote don't have the time for? But Kira, our digital ambassador, for example, can do that. And the last thing is the future. What do you want to be known for, perhaps, if you roll this out? Do you want to be the innovator within your vertical? Do you want to be the standard that other people chase, right? Is there other ROI that we're not thinking of that impacts your business? It really comes down to personalization. These are just some items to think through as you're considering, hey, how can I deploy this? Why should I deploy this, right? Some of those avenues. From a security and compliance hurdle, at the end of the day, the biggest thing I hear is data security, data governance, compliance, right? And that risk around that. And it's been talked through the last couple of days. So I want you to think again. You hire somebody, you put them in a seat, if you will, they have access to data, just the same as a digital ambassador would, right? So how can we make sure we have those security guardrails for a person, just as well as a digital ambassador, right? Where are we pointing that data, that person, or that digital ambassador? And then lastly, as Tyler mentioned earlier, right, when it comes to those vendor solutions failing beyond a demo, it goes back to your infrastructure, what you're trying to implement. We have, again, spun this up for many different customers at this point. And so those complex integrations, this is why we're here, to help that process go from, hey, check out Kira in the Innovation Lounge to, hey, check out Kira at your front door, right? From a customer-facing perspective. So Tyler, I don't know if you want to add anything to any of that.
Maybe just coming back to the ROI, right? The ever-elusive ROI of any AI initiative, right? There's the quantifiable metrics that you could see initially, whether that's closing out a certain number of customer support tickets or a higher conversion rate. But there's also the lagging ROI as well. And so as you implement these AI initiatives, setting those milestones and kind of that phased approach, giving yourself the 6-month, 12-month windows to go back and see what types of impacts your investments are having, especially when you consider things like customer satisfaction or net promoter scores or the return rate of customers coming back. Like I mentioned the story earlier, I'm not likely to go back to that location because of the experience that I had. If I do, I'm going to go through the drive-through. And right down the street, another fast food chain is using AI through their drive-through and has it popping up on the screen as you speak to it and order your meal there. But yeah, I think it's multi-approach, right? There's the immediate ROI that you can quantify, and then there's also the slightly more subjective ROI that impacts that overall experience that people are having with your organization.
Yeah, and I love that. And I know we keep using the word experience, and more or less what we're trying to do with a digital ambassador, right? How do we move it past a transaction? Right? That's more or less what we're looking at here, and getting that net promoter score, that customer survey, that experience. Like, that was a great time. I enjoyed that conversation. It felt real. How do we measure that? Right? And these are the things that we're talking about, is elevating that experience for your customers as well. So as you can see here, we've talked a lot through this. I've heard many people speak on just these progressive layers when it comes to generative AI, right? So building the digital ambassador is no less, like I said, than a chatbot, and how we build it. We start with a foundational LLM, right? More or less that creates that generative AI aspect. And then really where the magic comes in, as I like to say, is it first starts with ragging information, right? What do you want that trained on? And that could be specific to you, right? And what you're trying to accomplish. What's that data source? Again, if I go back to my previous example, it's no different than hiring somebody and saying, hey, this is the information I want you to know, right? It's in the same vein. Then moving it even more specifically to fine tuning. Do you want it to sound a certain way? Maybe even have an accent. We've had many customers engage with us on that. Or for your industry, do you want it to speak a certain way? Or let me push it further. For your organization, is there a voice that you want to have? Is there a, if you will, I'll use my organization, is there an SHI way that you can tackle a question, answer something, right? Every organization has a mission statement, a motto. How can you build some of those into a digital AI ambassador? Right? And these are all the things that we can do. Again, rag to the data, fine tune to a specific, how do you want it to sound aspect? And then here's what I really love. This is my favorite part, is the blue area, right? Because it's color scheme. So we'll go to the blue area. The agentic flow. We talk a lot about agents and what that looks like. So let's envision this. I walk in somewhere. Let's just use SHI's lobby, right? And Kira says, hi, how can I help you? Oh, I'm here to check in. I'm here to see, my name's Dave Molinaro. I'm here to see Tyler Webb. And as Kira is interacting with me on the back, my mic there, on the back end, it's pinging Tyler and saying, hey, by the way, Dave Molinaro's here in the lobby, right? And just be prepared or be down in 5. And Kira is taking all that intake flow, just as an example, right? Because again, at the end of the day, more or less a chatbot. So the agentic flow is customer facing, and then on the back end, applying that to say, hey, somebody's here, come on down, please sit here, he'll be down in 5 minutes. Right, that cool agentic flow there. So I don't know if you want to add it to that as well.
Well, if it was Dave, I might say I'll be down in 15, but
ice me out a little bit. Yeah, I get that. That's fair.
But it's such an important thing because everyone's familiar with the foundational LLM. I liked how it was put in the keynote yesterday. It's like, the mouth is the brain, right? You can spit out some crazy stuff, but then you start to give it access, the history, the data, access to your data sources. You fine tune it. I was explaining this to someone outside of the IT industry, I believe my wife, and I was thinking, like, you've seen The Matrix, right? Like Neo wakes up and he's in this whole new world, right? He's got the memories from everything that had happened prior, but then they train him on Taekwondo and they train him on flying helicopters, and he's out there fighting agents and things. So it's kind of, it is this progression that makes your interaction, your capability with AI smarter and more in tune to what your business actually is and what you're trying to accomplish. So you do have these different patterns of LM usage. You kind of can start with the out of the box, then you're ingesting your data's organization through RAG and fine tuning to have that specific domain context and industry knowledge. Then you're building specialized agents that can actually complete tasks, and then it's a matter of stringing those agents together to really automate those workflows. So you go from low accuracy and specialization all the way through very high customization. But as you do that, right, you have these different approaches. Your latency the need for lower latency increases, the complexity increases, the cost of the infrastructure and the resources go up as well, and the infrastructure required will increase as well. So it's kind of finding out, where is the sweet spot to begin and how do you build and expand on that, but start with the right foundational pieces.
Yeah. And what's really great about a digital ambassador, and again, Tyler, you said this before, I can't work 24 hours a day, guys. Not even if they pay me, well, maybe they pay me enough. But I can't work 24 hours, right? I need to eat, I need to rest, I need to do all these things. I got young kids, rest is very important to me, right? Digital ambassador doesn't have kids, right? It can work 24 hours, 7 days a week, doesn't have a bad day, although jokingly, because we have IT here, technical difficulties do arise, right? So that's the only bad day that an ambassador may have. But other than that, it's 24/7, right? Emotionally intelligent, can speak to the way you want it to speak, all the above. And there's that latency effect too, right? Less than 100 milliseconds. So there's not that awkward delay. it is like speaking to an actual person. So if you got the chance to speak to Kira in our innovation lounge, absolutely she was at that marker. And what's great about what we can do is it can be specific not only to multilingual, multiple languages, but also specific to your industry, to what you're trying to accomplish. And how we built all this, right, is through NVIDIA's NIM microservices, specifically the Tokyo UI, and HPE's PC AI, right? So we're the integration aspect, but those are our partners that have helped build this final product, this solution. But we keep talking about Kira, so let's just let her do her thing.
SHI's Digital AI Ambassador, engineered for high performance, adaptability, and enterprise-grade reliability. Here's Kira, one of SHI's Digital AI Ambassadors, to tell you more about herself and the platform.
Hi, I'm Kira for SHI, your Digital AI Ambassador. Let me guess. Your CEO just came back from a conference talking about AI avatars that engage customers. And now everyone's looking at you to make it happen. I get it. And here's the thing. Most digital human projects are basically expensive science experiments. 18 months of development, integration chaos, and if you're lucky, something that works in a demo but melts down when real people use it. I exist because SHI engineers got tired of watching good IT teams struggle with bad AI implementations. So they built me differently. Instead of starting with flashy demos, they started with your actual problems. How do you integrate this without breaking everything? How do you maintain security? How do you deploy without needing a PhD in AI? I was engineered in SHI by their AI and cyber lab, using NVIDIA's enterprise microservices and HPE's private cloud AI infrastructure. The serious stuff, not consumer AI with a business suit. What does that mean for you? Moving from, can we do this? To, wow, this actually works. SHI handles the persona design, model training, integration, everything. And while I may be Kira, your assistant can take on any persona that suits their business best. Basically, I'm your always-on digital ambassador. I handle the repetitive questions, guide users through complex processes, and actually sound like your brand, not some generic chatbot that learned English from a manual. Whether you're in retail, healthcare, financial services, you name it, I'll adapt. Real companies like yours are seeing 23% fewer support tickets and 18% better conversion rates. ROI in Q1, not someday, maybe in the future. The technical foundation? Sub 200 millisecond response times, seamless integration with your existing systems, and compliance built in. Your data stays secure because I run on private cloud infrastructure, not someone else's servers. Look, you've probably been burned by AI promises before. Fair enough. But your users deserve better than press 1 for customer service. And you deserve better than another vendor who disappears after the contract is signed. Try an AI-powered digital ambassador that actually delivers. Talk to SHI team. Trust me, I was born for this. I'm here if you need me.
Cool, thanks Kira, appreciate that. And
Yep.
I know she kind of dove into that, but go ahead, yep.
Yeah, so I mean, and then as it continually iterates, right, Kira is emotionally aware as well. So, you know, the sentiment analysis, it's capable with AI. Say that you're having that interaction with the customer, they start to get a little bit frustrated, just like you may on a customer support line, or you're like pressing 1 for this, 2 for that, talk to a representative, right? You can still keep human in the loop and bring that manager in, bring that supervisor in to address those conversations that need that, you know, actual human interaction. But we're seeing key applications across this, and you know, there's a little bit of uncanny valley going on with Kira, right? But imagine, you know, changing the avatar, or imagine the applications and different use cases with industries where you have the likeliness of, you know, a representative of the company, or, you know, a professional athlete or something like that, that, you know, is that ambassador that can have conversations. So, you know, whether it's in retail, financial services, education, public sector, hospitality, you know, one of the things we're working on now is children's hospitals, right? You could have a digital AI ambassador that has a very friendly, approachable avatar that could play games with children who are receiving medical care, or, you know, read them stories while they're at the bedside, you know, in the hospital. So, you know, there's tons of applications across this through a variety of different verticals. And definitely business outcomes that can be reached as well, because every leader's asking, you know, this sounds cool, but what's the value? So whether that's higher conversion rates, or fewer missed appointments, or a resolution of customer service cases, or just increased, you know, engagement with your brand, with your institution, these are the types of gains that we're seeing around these digital AI ambassadors. So if you're interested in learning more, we of course will help you explore that further. But we do have one final question here, and we'll wrap on basically just what challenges do you have? What are some of the concerns you're running into, whether it's getting that first multimodal chatbot out or pursuing something like a digital AI ambassador?
I see the phones down, so I know they're answering momentarily. Absolutely. Yeah, first one to come through, right? Security, compliance, and governance, right? We talked about that. We tackled that as well. And then clear ROI. Yeah, absolutely. And sure, is there industry standards? Can we talk to some things we've seen from a vertical perspective? Absolutely. But then, knowing your business, thinking about different ways of analyzing that ROI. I gave some examples before: the training, the employees, innovation. What cost is that, and what that looks like as well. So again, a little array of answers here.
Yep. And we have some big news coming out around the AI Ambassador here in a couple weeks for GTC. I can't share any of it today, but stay tuned, and we would love to have the next conversation with you and help you explore the different modules that SHI has, whether it's from RAG Studio, fine-tuning as a service, or of course the Digital AI Ambassador. But really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for coming to the summit. I'm Tyler Webb. Nice to meet everyone in the room, and Dave Molinaro here. So
pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your sessions.
Thanks, everybody.